Well, welcome back to Covenant Therapy Marriage Ministry. I'm Janine.
And I'm Tarek.
And so over the last couple of weeks, if you've been following us, we've been talking about some really personal things and very challenging, intense topics. So we talked a little bit about some of the jealousy issues that we encountered early in our relationship and the devastation that it caused. And then also we talked about verbal abuse and, again, the devastating effects. So tonight we want to lighten it up a little bit, and we want to talk about teamwork.
And controlling was also a part of those two. In between those two, like the jealousy and the verbal abuse, control was also in that little sort of thing.
Yes, it was.
It was there.
It was. It just didn't have its own episode.
No.
I was just naming the episodes. Sorry.
Right, I know. I was just saying that it was still a part of those episodes.
You're right. It was part of those episodes.
Yeah.
Moving on.
I mean, I didn't want to leave that out because that was important. It was important, part of all of that, because it's going to come up, you know what I'm saying, again. And when it does, we're going to refer back to those two episodes. And somebody might be like, well, that wasn't an episode. Well, it was part of those two. So I'm just trying to put that out there.
Thanks.
Please continue. Thank you.
So we're going to go ahead and talk about teamwork, and because, teamwork makes the dream work, right? So we want to just talk a little bit about that because it's important. It's a huge part. If you're going to be married, you definitely want to function as a team. When you're married and you're not working well together, it feels like you're swimming upstream.
Uphill?
Up a waterfall. Sorry, that came from another episode. Sorry.
I didn't mean it that way, though. It just came out that way.
So just for reference purposes, swimming uphill would be essentially swimming up a waterfall, which is extremely challenging. But I think for our purposes, it's more like just swimming against a current.
Yes. It's not good.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. So, so functioning as a team, right? It's really important because if you're going to be married, you're going to be working as a team. You need to be working together, not working against each other. And so when you're not working well together, it is a challenge because, you can't even move forward because you're fighting each other every step of the way. I mean, how would you accomplish anything? I mean, really, if you disagreed about everything, if you're raising your kid, how you raise your kids, how would you, if I wanted to do it one way and Teray wanted to do it another way, how would we do it at all? Because we would always be, the kids would be like so confused. Anything, you can't even have like a solid vision for your relationship. You can't have a vision for your marriage or for your family because you would be all over the place and not working together. Your finances would be a mess because you wouldn't even agree on how you work your finances. So those are just some examples of places that it could really be detrimental not working as a team.
And that's some of the places where we were, because of our differences. And we talked about our differences before. It was kind of like in those same, areas, because we would have our different ideas on how we wanted to approach, those same situations. So some of those times it did seem like we were on two different teams, instead of being on the same team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think really the only things we were 100% solid on was our faith and our...
We both knew that we definitely wanted to go to church and live our lives for Christ, as Christians. So we both definitely... The struggle was there on getting there. You got there a lot faster than I did. I grew up in church, you know what I'm saying? So I still had stuff that my boundaries. You had early experiences, but your conversion was much stronger than mine was, so you ran into it and I was still kind of like trotting. you know what I'm saying? I was like, give me a minute. I ain't there yet, so. Yeah.
And I think then the other thing that we were pretty solid on was how we wanted to raise our kids for the most part. I mean, there were some like little, just the way we were each raised was a little different. Like one little thing was sort of like it was no big deal for my family to run around outside barefoot.
Nah,
you know what I'm saying? Like you'd be on the front porch, you'd walk up and down the sidewalk. I mean, we weren't going to like stores barefoot, but just walking outside in a summer
Right.
day wasn't a big deal. But Teresa, like, my kids got to keep shoes on.
Gotta keep shoes on. You
So-
don't know what's out there. It could be some glass.
So
People be spitting and you stepping in it. Just nasty. We ain't doing it.
and we didn't. But those were some of the things that I feel like we were probably the strongest in, where we were definitely a team. We did work. We did back each other up for the most part, with those in those areas.
Yeah, and that was one of the solid parts about our relationship, because we did want to make sure we were a good example for our children in whatever it was that we did. We didn't want them to see us falling apart. We wanted to be able to show them a healthy relationship. Not that we tried to hide our arguments or disagreements or things of that nature. There was a lot that they could have seen, but they didn't.
That's right.
Because go ahead.
No, go you.
I was gonna say, because when they were young, we learned how to work on these major issues outside of a place of anger to where we were acting out on each other.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. We had learned to sort of coexist. We weren't necessarily happy, but we were happy with the kids. So you know what I'm saying? Like, so they didn't really maybe know as much or notice as much. We weren't all dramatic in front of them.
We weren't
all
cussing each
extra
other out. We wasn't, you know what I'm saying? When it came to the kids, it was like, okay, we're going to pull this together because it's about them. It ain't about us.
Some things that I guess would be helpful even when we start talking about teamwork is there's some scriptures that are really important. I pulled some scriptures up, so I'm going to use my Bible app over here. So
No Googler.
No Googler. I'm doing my Bible app today. So, okay, so number one, quickly, let's just go to Amos 3:3. And that one talks about, can two walk together except they be agreed? So technically we don't have to go there. But that's what that scripture says. But if we go to, there's Matthew, and in Mark, and in Luke, it talks about a house or a kingdom divided against itself can't stand, or it's doomed to destruction. So real quick, if we go to Luke 11, so I do want to go to that one because that was a good one. Not like they're not all good ones, but so Luke 11, verse 17.
Mm-hmm.
Amen. Are we there?
Amen, sister.
I'm not there, but I'm trying to get there. Oh, I'm past it. Just kidding. Okay, so verse 17 says, but he, well aware of their thoughts and purposes, said to them, so this is Jesus, it's in red, every kingdom divided against itself is doomed to destruction, and a house divided against itself falls. So the point of that is you can't work against each other. If you work against each other, it's not going to stand. The house, the kingdom that you're trying to build together, it won't last. It won't stand because you're not working together as a team. So I thought that was really important to pull out. And then I have a couple other points I want to make. So I want to give you.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Because our experience taught us that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And not everybody's in the same situation, right. That we were in, but when you come up against those types of situations, you do need to look at, you should want to look at the Word of God on how to resolve those issues and situations where you're having these disagreements and differences. Understanding, that working against each other is not going to be, it's not going to help anything. Mm-hmm. So if there's got to be compromise on both sides, okay, compromise on both sides. Come to a happy medium so that you can move forward, or agree to disagree depending on what it is, drop it, and bring it back together later, and figure out how to. So many couples and people that we've talked to and people that we've dealt with, and helped, when it comes to communication, they face these same type of troubles, I want to be right. No, I want to be right. No, it has to be my way. No, it has to be my way. Well, I grew up this way. Well, I grew up that way. And that's not going to get you anywhere when you need to have resolve on how to move forward with whatever your issue is, or your situation is you're dealing with. So when you're looking at teamwork, for the sake of moving forward, to accomplish a goal, okay, let's put our pride aside and figure out what's the best way to handle this. And then it got to be your way, it's got to be my way. But if your way is the best way, okay, fine. We're going with the best way,
right?
Not your way, my way. I'm this way and this is the way I would do it. Okay, fine. Is that the best way to get it done?
Right. Yeah, so it's just like basically leveraging best practices between the two people. And so I think that's huge, and I think that takes a level of maturity to humble yourself, to put yourself down, because your way may not be the best way.
And that's true.
Yeah. So, but teamwork is awesome because when you are working together as a team, you can lift each other up. You can keep each other encouraged and motivated. And I feel like we have definitely done that throughout the years. Excuse me. And so, just like as an example, trying to go to the gym, trying to eat healthy, learning how to take that encouragement, that's a whole nother episode. But you know what I'm saying? Like, as an example, if you know that I have a goal that I'm trying to reach, encouraging me when I feel sort of like down about it, or, if my education, you've always been a big supporter of my education.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's just huge, because if I feel down, if I don't feel like I'm doing well, if I feel like, oh, this is taking too long, or, oh, I think I just failed a test, or, oh, whatever, you've always been there like, babe, you got this. It's going to be okay. Even if, you failed a test, moving on. Like, okay, if you have to take a class again, just do that. Like, it's okay. It's worth it. Keep going. So I think that's huge. And I think, it's cool for people that want to be single. If you stay single, like, that's cool. No slam or anything. But I feel like there's such an advantage when you have a spouse that's in it for the long haul and that is truly committed to you and you're committed to them. And that's everything. Like, I'm committed to your well-being. You're committed to my well-being. It's just huge. It's what a blessing. I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, that other aspect of marriage, the way it's supposed to be. Like I said, we've, sat in some sessions with people and found out that it's not that way for everybody.
Yes.
And it becomes more of a selfish thing. Help me.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm doing. This, that, and the third. It doesn't matter if it's him or her.
Right.
The point is that we're supposed to help each other, to reach each other's goals and always be encouraging, and I feel, especially as, the husband and the role, we talked about roles, and the role of the head of the house, even as the Bible gives us instructions and directions as men, that it is not only about us trying to achieve our goals, but our spouses that have goals too, and we should be just as invested in what our wives are trying to accomplish, just as much as they're invested in what we're trying to accomplish, because it's all about the goal for the family, what's best for the family. I mean, we both have individual goals that we're trying to reach, but it shouldn't be we're putting all of our focus in this, or all of our focus in that, to where it causes us to go separate ways. We've got to be able to encourage each other to reach our goals, what's best for the family and the future that we're trying to create.
Yeah, I like that. And so, of course, I have a scripture to support all of that. So, Ecclesiastes 4:9-10. 2 are better than one because they have a more satisfying return for their labor. For if either of them falls, the one will lift up his companion, but woe to him who is alone when he falls and does not have another to lift him up.
That's good.
Right? It's really good. I thought that was really good too. That's the amplified version, of course. Pretty like, wow.
It is. I don't have the amplified version up. I don't have that scripture pulled up.
It's all good.
Okay, good.
It's all good. So then talking about working together. So working together requires honest and continued communication. It's hard to be a team if you're not sharing your thoughts, your ideas, your hopes, your dreams. You have to sort of like work to align yourselves together. And so, but that's important, and that takes that communication, and not flippant communication. Flippant.
Flip it.
Flippant.
All right, I'm gonna look it up.
Look it up. So not. You have to be honest. It has to be sincere. If I tell Teray just what he wants to hear, then he really never gets to know me, and he really doesn't know my my hopes and dreams. Like, how can we truly be in alignment in that scenario? So it's important to be honest. It's important to be able to share who you are. It's also important to be a safe space for someone to share who they are. How's that coming, babe?
Flippant. Flippant. Not showing a serious or respectful attitude.
You're flippant. So even like, so things like, this is one thing too. I think as you get older, and tell me if you would agree with this. When you get older, I think we're always growing. I think, I know like sometimes Christians don't want to talk about evolution, but I'm not talking about coming from, other creatures. I'm talking about, just evolving as a human, growing, maturing, being more spiritual, things like that. When you do that, sometimes your hobbies change, sometimes your interests change, sometimes the things you like and you don't like, those things change over time. So if you're not connected, if you don't stay connected, then you miss out on all that. You're not even the same people if you're not careful. And I think we sort of experienced that a little bit. Mm-hmm. Would you agree?
Yep. And especially where we are now, and this is what one of the things that we've always told people, and even though we're getting to this place ourselves, is your spouse, you can't leave your spouse behind, right. Especially when you're raising children, you're chasing a career, this thing. You can't leave your spouse behind, and people that are empty nesters now because their children are raised, mm-hmm. And some of them, have come to the place where it's like, okay, so what do we do now? Because all of this time, money, and effort was invested into the children. And not to say that they don't have relationships with their children anymore, but because kids and, whatever it was, could have been jobs or whatever, has taken up so much of their time, right. energy, and effort that they have lost the ability to communicate effectively, to work as a team. And they just kind of stare at each other like, okay, so what do we do now? Like, okay, I knew who we were with the kids, but now I don't know who we are without them.
Yeah.
We don't have an identity anymore, right. As a husband and wife, because we lost it all, mm-hmm. in the children or in the job or in the whatever it was. So, I mean, it happens.
It does. It happens more often than you think.
Mm-hmm. And it shouldn't, but and like I said, we talking to people and getting people to understand, love your children, but your covenant was not with your children.
That's right.
It's with your spouse. And it's set up that way for a reason.
And you really have to protect that, because once the kids come along, because kids can't always function on their own, especially when they first come along. They gain some of those abilities as they get older, but it's our job to do for them and take care of them. And that becomes so all-encompassing that we tend to forget that before there were kids, there was us.
That's right.
And we say that all the time in like our events and things, that it's important that you don't lose who you are just because you gain another role, right. or you gain another hat to wear. Don't forget about the other hats in the closet just because you get a new hat. So I think that's really important to remember, to keep that relationship tight even while you're raising your kids, so that once they leave, and they will leave, they do, all of them.
Or you go put them out. One or the other.
They leave one way or the other.
They gonna leave, or you gonna make them leave. So and that's just the way it
sometimes
is.
They come back, but that's okay. They move back out again.
Yeah, I'll take that back. And not everybody pushes their kids out. There's still plenty of 30-something, 40-something-year-old people still living at home with mom.
Right. And no slam if you're going back for assistance with the goal of moving back out. We're not talking about you.
Right.
So there's no shame in that. If you get that opportunity to reset, take it. That's fabulous.
Yeah.
But yeah, just know that the kids move out. And once they do, you have to know who you and your spouse are together. So don't lose it. What do we always say? It's easier to maintain than it is to regain.
Yeah. Starting all over again. No, just
so
keep
much
it
easier,
keep it where it's supposed to go.
And why would you want to lose it? There was a reason you got together with your spouse anyway. Like, there was a reason. You love them. You enjoy spending time with them. You did fun things together. Whatever was the attraction that brought you together and kept you together. Yeah. So before there were kids, there was you. So.
And you functioned well as a team at that point. So bring the team. First of all, don't lose your teammate, but keep the team intact. Throughout any situation, everything that you're going through, make sure you keep the team tight.
Keep the team tight.
Yep, because it sucks when you lose that.
Yeah, it does.
It just makes stuff harder. So
it sure does. Yeah. So there's a lot of fun things that you can do to help growing together, and just keep that teamwork moving. Or if you're so keep it going if you already have it solid, or if you need like a little spark, if you need to sort of refresh that, revive that. So we love to tell people to do this. It's like basically a conversation jar. We need to get a name for it. We just keep calling it that, but we need a name for it. So essentially you have like a jar or a hat or a bowl or a bucket or something, and you write down topics that you think would be kind of interesting to share with each other, and you just put them in this container, whatever the container is. And then whether you do it weekly, whether you do it on date nights, whether you go for drives and this is what you do in your drive, however often you want to do it, you just pull one out and you read it off, and each one of you takes a turn sharing regarding this topic.
Right.
And it's kind of fun because sometimes we're so stuck in the monotony of life that we don't talk. Like, we don't always say, you know what, babe, I can't wait one day when we can just go to vacation anywhere. If money wasn't an issue, where would you want a vacation? We don't talk like that generally, and so I think those are like fun conversations. Well, if money was no object, I'd love to go to Brazil.
Yeah, it was funny because we've experienced this, and I know we're not the only ones who have experienced it either. Is that we've gone out like on dates and date nights, and we would kind of have that little quiet time, that little quiet stare at each other. We're looking at the menu, what's on the menu, what do you like? Okay, we got that out of the way. And then it's like trying to find something else to talk about other than we're trying to get the phones out, or we're trying to
watch the game.
Why you gotta bring that up? I mean, you know what I'm saying? We're talking about kids, and we're trying to get away from all of that because this date night is not about work. It ain't about kids. It's not about, our church business. You know what I'm saying? It's not about we're supposed to be spending time talking, to each other and communicating with each other. But there's been those times where we would just sit there and just kind of look at each other and look around. Okay, so like, what do we talk about outside of, because those things have become our daily life.
Yeah.
And we have the little conversations, what I'm saying? We vacation, where would you like to go? You know what I'm saying? Things of that nature. But when it comes time to, in the topic, what we're about to bring up anyway, is really, we getting to know each other and planning, for the rest of our lives together, and so that's what I think we're about to jump into discuss.
It is. And just to go along with that, so as an example, my example was, if money was no object, where would you like to vacation? But that's something to create teamwork, because you know what, babe, you want to go to Brazil? You know what, I want you to go to Brazil. Let's start a Brazil fund. Let's get a jar. Let's start putting money in. That's our Brazil fund. Let's work towards that. And you see how you take that fun, nice, lighthearted conversation. You got to know each other a little bit better. But now you have a goal you're working towards together. Hello, teamwork, right? Right.
And then we figure out how much it costs, then it becomes a project, and it's a project that we're both working on together.
Yeah.
And so those things can be very, very good,
excited.
to do.
Yeah.
And so I think we should just come up with
we need a name for that.
We need a name for it. I think we should just come up with it and
market it
and put it out there and
gonna do it.
Help people that may be looking for conversation starters, because you do get locked up into that, okay, so what are we going to discuss? And it's that uncomfortable silence. Okay, so you get your phone, I'll get my phone. Want to play a game?
Right, essentially.
Playing games with each other. I mean,
which at least you're still working together. Still playing together.
Yeah.
It's better than nothing.
It's better than nothing, but it's just not. It's just not.
It's just not.
It's just not.
I personally have fun doing that. Playing those. Okay, so I've always been at like an Android diehard. So I finally switched over to iPhone. So now I can play games with
the family. Because the rest of the family has iPhones. We've been trying to get her over on this side for
years.
For half of ever. So now we're finally here.
So I personally enjoy playing those games together because it's something we literally can do together. We're sitting across the table from each other and we can play pool, taking turns. I think it's fun.
Yeah, and we've done that.
We have.
And we do that. And sometimes I win and sometimes I don't win because she wins.
As with most games.
That's true. So,
you want to talk about the vision board?
So I originally heard about the vision board from Jimmy Evans with Marriage Today. Great people. So if you want to look up some people who have a great seasoned marriage ministry, Jimmy Evans with Marriage Today,
Really good.
Great people to listen to. And I heard about this actually, say a couple years ago, through one of his messages, and it was a great idea to do. And most people that are in businesses or have businesses, you don't have to, but you should plan your business out, and have a vision board. What is the vision board, for the business? What are we going to do next year? How are we going to get those things done? What are the goals that we're trying to accomplish? What is the budget? How much are we going to spend? And you're mapping out or planning out, the next year, 2 years, 3 years, with whatever the vision is that you have for your business, or for yourself. Mm-hmm. But it's the same thing for our marriage. We should have a vision board, for our marriage. So just like the vacation thing, if money was no object, where we want to go to Brazil. Okay, so how are we going to get that done? Where do we want to see ourselves in the next 10, 15, 20 years? What goals are we trying to accomplish? Is focus on getting out of debt. So how are we going to do that? Put that on a vision board, and it's all of these things. But they went to the next level. So what they advise doing is we have it's called, what did he call it?
The annual.
Yeah, it's almost like
an annual vision retreat.
Vision retreat. It's like a vision retreat, and you and your spouse get away for whatever period of time you can. If it's a day, if it's a weekend, get away for whatever time you can. Shut off everything. So it's almost like a time of fasting. Because it's just you and your spouse. And the best way to do it, from what he was saying, is to get away from your home. Because at home, you're used to all of the surroundings, people stopping by, people calling. So you really can't completely break free if you do this at home. Get away from home and take your vision board with you, and get together and just sit down throughout this period of time and have intimate conversation and prayer, to map out your vision board. What is God going to speak to you about for your marriage and your, so that you can write these things down on your vision board, raising your children, fixing your finances, working through businesses together, whatever it could be, and I know we haven't done the full getaway aspect of it. I want to plan to do that part of it soon, but we have our vision board, and we've been able to, we've actually been doing a vision board for a while, for a couple of years.
We just didn't have it on a board.
No, we did. We had the old one. It kind of changed hands because we did one for our, we've done it several times. We had one for our dreams and our goals. Then it kind of turned into a little bit of a prayer, board, where we had our married couples on this side, people who needed this, people who needed that, and then what we were trying to accomplish. So we've had it for a couple of years.
Okay.
Yeah, we just had that same old dirty board, and then we got a new board, so we just went down and put things that we're planning, events for next year, our goals for next year. So we're starting fresh again because we're at the end of this year. So anyway, get a vision board, and do something where you two can get together, put everything else to the side, and say we're going to pray and fast if you have time to do that. Yeah. If not, then still have quiet time, intimate time with each other, praying together, and then mapping out how you're going to tackle the next year with the goals that you guys have set, or the goals that you're going to set with each other, and how to get it done. It's a wonderful thing, but it's not earth-shattering, but it's amazing how we will plan out every area of our lives except for having a vision board for our marriages.
Well, I think, too, what's neat is that you see it, and it makes it more real when you write it down and you see it. And I think it's important to know that, whether you divide your board in half, one way or the other. Make sure that you have like a short-term area and a longer-term area, and then start marking stuff off as you achieve things, as you work towards these goals and you start hitting them.
Right.
Mark it off, and then you start working towards the longer-term ones.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even in personal development, and we talk about personal development a lot too, it's the same thing as the SMART goals, and when you draw out your SMART goals, when you achieve one of those goals, you mark those off because you want to see the improvement. It's got to be measurable. That's what the M is for, is measurable. You got to be able to see how it's working in order to encourage you to continue to move on and on and on, with that particular goal. So you can have SMART goals for your marriage. You can have a SWOT analysis for your marriage. What are your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? And as a team, you guys are both contributing to these, the SMART goals, the vision board, and the SWOT analysis, working together to look out for the things that gonna benefit you, look out for the things that are gonna cause you to fall, look out for possible opportunities, and look out for any threats, anything that's going to threaten the vision, anything that's going to threaten your marriage. If you plan this out and you learn how to focus and see what's coming at you to throw you off, then you have a better chance of survival because you can see that thing coming. And that way you don't fall prey to it. A lot of people have problems in the financial area. If you take your SWOT analysis and you know that a weakness, is
delayed gratification.
Delayed gratification. You just love to shop, or you feel like you got to stay on top of your shoe game and this, that. But if that's causing you to spend money in areas where you don't need to spend money because you need to be putting that somewhere else to get your credit up, then you know that is an issue. So you've got to be able to see that coming. Just because it's a sale,
right.
on your favorite kicks.
On your board.
Right. The goal is, once we reach this goal and we have control of, all of this financial thing, then we can go back into blah, 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 whatever. But we're not there yet. So helping each other, that teamwork, helping each other to achieve that goal, and just like we brought up the exercising, and encouraging each other. Right now, she's encouraging me to get up when it's time to get up in the morning. You know what I'm saying? But that's the team. The goal is, we have health goals, and we have to try to reach those goals. And in order to do that, then we need to encourage each other. Put them French fries down to rate. Dang, I love French fries. Put them cookies down to rate. But I love cookies. You know what I'm saying? So those are encouraging things to help me, because I'm not going to reach my goals still doing those things. So that's helping me to grab hold of my weakness, be more aware of it, and help me to fight against it so that I can stop getting the fried foods and all the sugars and learn how to eat things that are better for you. So that's teamwork.
That is.
Okay, I'm done.
So no. I just wanted to say, because you mentioned a couple acronyms, but didn't really explain what they are. So
what are they?
You said SMART goals and SWOT analysis, but you didn't tell them what they are. So SMART goals, SMART, it stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. That's what SMART goals. Look it up. It's really good. It's really helpful. And a SWOT analysis is used a lot in businesses. So it's your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
And the threats. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we do that for I'm not going to say every, do that for a lot of business or personal goal sort of things, but we don't apply it to our marriage, and we should.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's
very helpful. Yep, I think it's helpful.
I do too, and that's why we've done it, and that's why we're working it, and we're able to see it, and when we're seeing it, it's helping us to make sure we stay on track.
Mm-hmm. So each goal that you write on your board, do a SWOT analysis on that goal.
Yeah. It's going to help you get there.
It's going to be huge.
It's going to help you get there.
Look at that free little nugget. This is supposed to be about teamwork. Went into personal development.
I'm sorry.
It's all good.
That's my thing. I like the personal development.
But it's all good. Teamwork, you work together to develop each other personally.
Absolutely.
Like that?
I like that. Turn it back around.
That's right, baby. That's right.
Cha-ching. All right.
But so the good thing is, it's not too late. It's never too late. So if you're, not sort of functioning as a team completely right now, that's okay. You just start applying some of the things that we talked about.
Yeah.
And you'll see that you'll start falling back in alignment again. You probably need some tweaking. You probably need them conversations are going to be maybe a little challenging at first, but that's okay. You make a safe space. The other person makes a safe space. You have those honest conversations. Get back in alignment. It's all good.
Absolutely.
It's all good. Yep.
So, once again, I am Teray.
I am Janine. And if you like what you hear each week, make sure you subscribe to our channel.
Subscribe.
Make sure you set up those alerts.
Like
our episodes.
Likes, shares,
leave comments.
Positive comments or negative. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
we just don't.
We'd
want
rather have the positives, but ask questions. I mean, ask
like,
questions so we can answer them.
Rah rah rah. You know. But and then Facebook. We are on the Facebook.
On the Facebook.
Yeah.
On the Facebook.
The Facebook, and we gotta get our Instagram jumping off. Man.
We do. Sorry, we're not like social media moguls.
We gotta.
Our limits are Facebook, and we sort of had to learn how to do a group. So, but we do have a group, and we would love for you to be a part of our group.
Absolutely. And we're here. That's what we're here for. Once again, we want to help you to rebuild, refine, and revive your marriage. So thank you for watching us tonight or today, whatever time you watch it. And then we will see you again next week.
Yep. Be blessed.